Rwanda. Rishi Sunak breathing a sigh of relief. He got the Safety of Rwanda bill through the Commons. It was interesting yesterday. I think it was Sir Geoffrey Clifton-Brown. We were talking to him about the amendments in the House of Lords, and I've heard that again this morning from Max about the primacy of that chamber. So they will play with this bill, but ultimately it will go through.
Well, I think they're going to delay it as long as they possibly can. I think that the House of Lords, at the end of the day, it's made up of a collection of largely unelected people. That includes, for example, 26 bishops are in there, and they've already said that God does not believe in this Rwanda bill. The Archbishop came out and said God does not support this bill. So you can expect that you've already got people there who are going to be trying to delay this as long as possible. When it came into the House just yesterday, there were rebellious people chanting shame from the back.
And laughing.
You know, this isn't really what this body is meant to be doing. They should be scrutinising it for the people.
Well, this comes into a much bigger issue for me about it's not fit for purpose. There are far too many people in the House of Lords. They're the wrong people in the House of Lords and so on. The fact it is in the House of Lords now, Stella, is it right that they pass it because it was the will, I think, of the nation? It has gone through the elected chamber. Should it go through the House of Lords?
Was the manifesto commitment, though?
No. But electorally, you can see the parties who are doing the best are the ones who are tougher on.
I think eventually they will let it pass for exactly the reason you are saying. I don't think the House of Lords is going to block it in the end. I do think they are going to scrutinise it. I don't think much is going to change. But I do think that you do have a problem where you have people who have very high authority who you could not possibly claim with the kind of experience that you have. You have peers in the House of Lords.
No, there are some that are really good.
Yeah, who you couldn't possibly claim, they don't care about border security.
No, but there are too many, far too many.
Yeah, and I also think with this, you can almost see it kind of playing out. We have a very limited time now before the general election is going to come around, and I can almost see the Conservative Party are going to use this to say, oh, who do you really want to rule you? These unelected people who won't push through the Rwanda bill that you all want as a constituency.
So just on that note, can Rishi Sunak bring the Conservative Party back together? Because when you look at the latest polling, which I've got here, they're now on 20%, right? So they have gone down 2 points. They're now at the lowest level of support since Liz Truss was in. You've got 5 different factions within there: the One Nation, ERG, New Conservatives, Conservative Growth Group, and so on. And in the end, there were 64 MPs who backed the amendments, but when push came to shove, only 11 voted against it. I didn't know this till this morning. They're now called the Rwanda 11.
I don't think he can bring them back together. At the end of the day, the fractions, the divides have become too deep, too entrenched over time. And I think, particularly on the Rwanda issue, I think they're conflating the issue of people wanting to stem immigration and people supporting the Rwanda bill. I think they're completely separate. People know we need to control immigration, but I don't think many people, if really at all, support the Rwanda bill.
So it's really interesting. I hadn't realised it's nearly 2 years since that plane sat on the runway. Nearly 2. Yeah, I know. Which is extraordinary. Just in terms of that, this article, which is in the Times this morning, goes on about the chatter amongst the backbenchers and amongst the Conservative MPs. And this great quote that came up this morning: the tension can't hold for very long. It can only be resolved by removing the Prime Minister. Here we go again.
No.
Dun, dun.
Do you think it's possible?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they're going to be... it would be suicidal to go into a leadership election right now.
Another
I don't
one.
think they're doing it. Yes, I think. But the thing is, there are a lot of people in the Conservative Party who want to become leader. You can see that because I think all of the people who have come out in the last couple of years pretending to be so passionate about the Rwanda plan or other anti-immigration rhetoric, I think the only reason why they're doing that is because they want to pander to the reform vote. They're afraid of Nigel Farage, and they think that this is going to make them look like leadership material. They think that this is panacea for them, basically, which is a fantasy. I think it's a fantasy to think that a normal Conservative MP is just going to come out looking really boldly right-wing and the electorate is just going to fall in line behind them. That's not going to happen. Really? I think they're going to stick with Rishi Sunak.
I just think that's going to be interesting over this year. I think as we march across Europe and we see all of the elections that are happening across Europe and in the States and here, I think you might find that lots of ordinary people do want a right-wing government. And I think that the proof of that will definitely be in the eating. So I don't think it's posturing. I think they're recognising what people want.
And I think you have to look at the markers in the sand. So we have Wellingborough by-election. We also have Kingswood coming up. That, for me, is the hard stop. They either change the Prime Minister now, but it's too late. By the time you get to the by-election, it's far too late. And actually, that by-election is literally in 5 minutes. It's in just a few days' time.
And they're expected to lose them both as well.
So it's really interesting. And just looking at those numbers, if the Conservatives lose both of that, is it game over?
Well, I think in some ways it already is game over. They're trying to throw everything they have right now. We're seeing tax cuts, we're seeing all these possible dream sort of fantasy policies that they're throwing out. I think people want greater change than that. They need greater change. Too much has happened, and it can't just all be water under the bridge at this point.
And there's a another great quote in the Times this morning that about the reason they backed off yesterday or the day before was because if Rishi Sunak had been defeated, it would have just actually caused complete meltdown and chaos as a result. There's a great line. Turkeys don't vote for Christmas. Ultimately, if we don't hang together, we will hang separately.
I was listening to Lee Anderson interview after the vote, actually, and he was saying how, I couldn't do it. I couldn't vote against the bill because I went to the lobby and the Labour MPs were giggling at me. And I was like, what are you like? Are you a 12-year-old? Like, are you in a
you
playground?
Felt passionately enough to resign.
Yes.
You didn't feel passionately enough.
Where's the backbone in that?
Yes, exactly.
And he
to back up your vote.
Yeah.
He just abstained.
But that's not good enough.
No, it's not good enough. I agree.
I completely feel the sentiment of I don't want to vote against the party who has made my political career, though. And I do give it to him.
Well, of course,
he's at least being
Labour
honest.
first. Yeah, and then he's moved across.